folks, I'm really excited to share with you today a video from a ghost town that I've been to this place about 5 times in the last 5 years or so, but never before with a drone. And you're gonna see when you look at this video what a benefit to be able to use a piece of technology like this to explore a town or an environment like this. You know, there were so many of these buildings when I went, before in the previous years with just my camera gear, so many of these buildings that I just couldn't get to because of, the environment that it's in, muddy, watery, marshy, environment. And so that's the exciting part about this video, is that I'm going to be able to explore each of these buildings with the drone and share it with you guys. And I'm pretty excited about that. I'm pretty excited to see all the footage. And, what an incredible time we live in to be a photographer. But anyway, if you're going to this town, and I'm not saying go to it, but if you're on the train tracks, we're facing south right now. I came in from the north facing, walking in south. This is what you're going to see of this town. And I got there early enough where I could ride the bike out and get some good morning sunlight on that fall color of that vegetation and make some really pretty colors. But flying over the town, we're flying south right now towards San Jose. And, this is one of the first buildings you're going to see. Look at that pretty little canal right there. And there's some wood that, there's lots of little makeshift bridges, I guess, that the people use to walk across those canals. Old telephone poles and planks and stuff like that that are there. But looking south, entering the town, this is what you're going to first come across. And it's really, I don't know what this building was. There was 600 people at one point living in this town. So some of these buildings were houses. Some of them were more than houses, offices or businesses. I'm not sure. But there's a lot more that went on here than just people living. And I guess this town was started in 1876 and the last person left in like 1970. But anyway, we're going to kind of fly over the town, flying south, just to kind of give you an idea of the size of what it was. And there's buildings on the east and west side. Right now we're on the west side, of the tracks. And we're flying south. So we're going to kind of see all the structures that are on the west side. And there are more structures on the west side than the east side. The east side structures I never was able to get to before in previous years because, like I say, it wasn't something that I felt like I wanted to walk out there and get stuck in the mud and nobody'd ever hear from me again. So, but there are some really cool structures over there, but more on the west side here. This one is really neat. Look at all these wooden slats and stuff in here. I'm going to circle back around and we'll kind of go over each building with the drone and kind of explore it, together. Look at that pretty fall color, man. It's nice. And those trains blast through there at about 100 miles an hour. The passenger trains do. That's me and my son over there on the tracks right where they go 100 miles an hour, right? But anyway, let's take a look at the buildings now that we've flown over the length of the town. And look how low those doors are. And there's a reason for that. And look how low that roof is. These buildings are all sinking into the mud. That roof was probably about 6 foot off the ground. Look at those windows. They're just right there on the, on the ground. It's crazy. And that's one of the nails that were in the coffin, that were put in the coffin of this town, was where it was built, and a few other things I'll talk about later. But yeah, nature is reclaiming that. It is sinking into the ground, but look how incredible it is. It's a really good sized building. As I pan around it here, you can get a sense of the size of it. It was a good sized building. It has and we'll see here in a minute that there's pools of water inside now as I take the drone to the back side of the building and kind of give you a view of the inside there. And I'll raise up here and show you from the sky, looking down, the pools of water that are in there. And these buildings, it's not like one side is sinking higher than the other side. they're sinking at the they're sinking at the same rate. So it's like, you know, all at once it's sinking. It's kind of crazy. Look, I love that old metal tin, that old rusty metal corrugated roof. I like those kinds of buildings and those kinds of structures when you find them. They're really cool. But we'll spin around a little bit here and let you guys get a slower view of this building, and here you'll be able to see all the water that's inside. You couldn't walk in this building and walk through it. It's definitely full of water, but it's weird because there's not really any water around it. You know, if you cross the little canals, those little sloughs that are right there, if you cross those and walk over to that building, which you can, there's not water on the ground, and you can see that right there. The water is only inside the building, so it's really weird. You know, and you can see that from the shot here. It's just really weird how the water is only inside. Imagine waking up in that place. Waking up and hearing all the birds and the ducks. You know, this, I guess what made this place popular was the duck hunting. So many ducks, when people would pass through on the train, they would see all these ducks, and so the hunters came and started building cabins and lodges, and that's one of the main draws to this place, was the duck hunting. So we're going to fly out. Look at that beautiful fall color. It's just really pretty. We're going to fly out to another building over here. This one is not, you know, anything really interesting, but it is there, and I want to map it out for you guys to see, you know, and appreciate the fact that it's there, and it's a little historical piece of California. But look at that pretty green. The green right there, really along those little water sloughs, is nice. So we'll get low here, and I'll kind of creep over toward the building and ramble a little bit about it as I get closer and show you guys some cool little details that, you know, you can pick out from the video. Those slats are still looking good on the roof too, by the way. The homes they build now are styrofoam and stucco, so I don't know if they'll last past their warranty. This one here has lasted over 100 years, except for the mud. Structure's looking all right, but you know, look how, I would say, look how tall the grass is growing up through there. But since the building is sinking, I don't think the grass is really tall. It just gives the illusion that it is. But look at this wood. Man, I had some good carpentry back then. Look at that. And it has a little area in the back too, like a little pin or something. I don't know what it was. Maybe they had some kind of animal out there or something. Or, you know, as I pull away here with the drone and get a little altitude, you'll see the whole spot of land and what it looks like. It was a small little building, little piece of land with a house and something in the back, you know. Look how green that is. It's just really pretty green. And there's those train tracks. And those tracks, like I say, those trains are going by there. I mean, you hear them from a long ways out, but they're going by there 90 miles an hour. They're really scooting by there. When they do come by, you've got to go down to the very bottom of the gravel there on the edge and just sit. And the wind blows you. It feels really good because it was hot out there. Let's fly out over some of these other fallen down structures. And now this is exciting because I could never see these buildings before. With just my regular camera gear and backpack, this wasn't something that I could go out and walk to and explore or even get pictures of, because how are you going to get a picture of that? It's just all falling down. It's interesting, but it's hard to really capture that in a still image. So being able to use a tool like a drone it's just really incredible way to be able to share some of this stuff that you tried to make interesting with still photography, but you just really can't. And whatever this was, it's fallen down. And, you know, like I say, there was more out here than just houses. It was 600 people. This place at one point was known for, you know, brothels and gambling, which 1800s, early 1900s town wasn't. Right? That's what made a town good, right? I guess. Anyway, look at this building here. The roof on the front and the back. That thing has sunk down into the mud. I mean, it didn't fall down. That roof is like 3 feet off the ground. That ground is swallowing that entire structure up. And that's crazy. You know, let's fly back out here and take a look at some of these other buildings. Now, this is exciting too because these little shacks way back here in the back, there's no way you could walk out to them. And so I was really excited to be able to get some footage of these little structures way back here in the very back of this marsh. Look how pretty that is. These two little structures that are just way back here. Got this little canal going by them, and there's some wood you can see that crosses that little canal for people to walk on to get home or whatever they use these little buildings for. I'm sure somebody stayed in there. Probably a hunting cabin, a little duck cabin or something that they come back here and sat in, and as the ducks were out there on that water, you know, maybe they did their hunting facing that way. Who knows? But I do know that one of the other nails in the coffin of this town was the salt mining. They built those levees up and the water, you know, to keep the water in there, and I guess evaporate the salt or whatever. And that was another bad blow to this little town. That and some other contaminants that ended up being in the water and turning, you know, things black, silverware black and paint black and all kinds of other things would turn black. That's one documentary I was reading was talking about. And so, but I think these were probably little duck cabins or something, little duck blinds you'd sit back there and do your hunting in, perhaps. I don't know. That's my guess. I don't really know. I'm just making it up as I go. But look how pretty it is. Those high green edges along the water there. Those are really nice. I'd totally go sit in one of those and do photography all day. I wouldn't hunt in them. I do my hunting at Costco. But anyway, but to sit in there and take pictures, man, I'd be down for that all day. A little coffee in there and sit there with my lens out the window, catch a few ticks, catch a few pictures. But look at that cute little cabin there, man. That's really nice. I like the way that the roof is like bowed in. You know, you could just tell that the thing's old. How cool to be able to share this and to see this. You know, this is, and I've been out here, like I say, probably 5 times, and I probably won't never go back, you know. And so it's exciting to be able to get some really good footage of this. And here's some other debris that was by this cabin. I don't know what it was for. I'm sure it was just little odds and ends, pieces of property and things like that have fallen down and been taken back by the land. But this kind of this shot gives you an idea of what all, you know, was in that area. Now this building is exciting. I've never been able to see this building before. You can tell because it's just way out there. Forgive the blown out sky, but I'm exposing for the ground, and I'm just happy. I just probably put a new battery in, and so I'm flying back out. That's why you're getting all this sky in the image on this section of footage. But it is difficult to shoot this just because this is all being backlit, and makes it a bit of a challenge. But anyway, look at this. That roof and those windows, you know, that's probably 6 foot off the ground. You know, nobody builds a roof 6 feet off the ground. So you could tell that this was a tall building at one time, and it's just sunk down. The water tower is cool too because you can still see the pipe coming up out of the ground for the tower. And I'll show you that here in a little bit as I'll go over that tower, and I'll go really slow and kind of just let you guys check out all the wood and everything, you know, and what went into making that little tower is pretty cool. To think that people built this because they needed it. They needed it to live. It improved their life in some fashion. It made their life easier, and they hammered every nail, and they put every piece of wood up there. and it's still here over 100 years later. Look at that. How cool. And we're going to kind of zoom over the top there a little bit, and you can see that little white pipe on the right-hand corner there. Little piece of pipe coming up there out of the wood. Some old green moss eating its way across the planks. How cool is that? Now I just got to learn how to fly the drone, right? But being able to share this and see it, you know, at the same time is really, really cool. I'm glad I'm able to share this with you guys, and hopefully it gives you some inspiration to seek out, you know, places like this and take a peek at them before they disappear. You know, and I got out here, I planned this trip actually last minute, but that's just because I'd been here before. But I bought a bike to ride out here because each time I've come before I've walked, and it is a heck of a walk. Okay, so flying out from the train tracks, there's my son. This building too has previously just kind of been inaccessible because of water and mud, you know, and today it wasn't. It was open there for us to go explore. How exciting. You know, I don't know what that graffiti means, beef biz, and carousel, of all the words that people could come up with to paint on the side of a building. It would seem there would be something a little more interesting than that. But let's zoom over here and see what we can come up with. This is really cool. This building, I don't know how much it sunk into the ground. I don't know how tall it was. I'm sure it sunk some because those window sills are pretty low. But look how big that place is. You know, as I kind of spin around the building. I guess all that lumber and building materials, it would all come by train. I wonder which one of these buildings was a train station where the train stopped. This train, I guess, that came through here, it connected, you know, to Santa Cruz from like San Mateo or something. I don't recall what the documentary said, but it was a pretty vital link in the railroad. And one of the documentaries I had watched, one of the ladies was still alive that used to live there, and she said the most exciting part of the day out there, everybody gathered around to watch the Drawbridge open. Yeah, I guess that would be something back then. But so this bridge, you know, that train was the Pacific Coast Railroad Station Island, and it connected, I guess, the Mud Slough and Coyote Creek connected Newark with Alvisa and San Jose, is what the Wikipedia says. And the railroad that came through here was the Union Pacific track. And you know, in the 1880s on weekends, nearly 1,000 visitors flocked to the town. By 1920s, although the town had no roads, it did have 90 buildings. Gosh, 90 buildings at one point out here. And what do we have left? Like maybe 10, I don't know, maybe 10, but 90 at one time, you know, that's pretty cool. And there we are walking over there. What I was gonna do, I'm going to bring the drone around here in a second, and I want to show you. You can see right there actually where that side of the building there, that canopy there, how sunk down that building is. It's pretty low. Look at the doorway on that tin roof building. But I'm going to bring the drone around, and I want to show you the sun. Since it's backlit right now, you can see the shadow in the front of the building. The sun's behind us, or behind the building, and all these slats. You know, I was going to fly the drone in there, and I thought, well, I could. It's pretty tight. If there's a small breeze and it happens to blow my drone into the side of one of those pieces of wood, then I'm out of luck. So I figured we'd just settle for kind of peeking inside the building. But look at that pretty sunlight coming through that old wood. How cool, man. How cool is that? Really pretty. And that view. Look at that view looking out back that way. Well, we can't look at it now. It's gone. But this building here, I came out a few years ago with a buddy of mine, and we did some light painting on that tin roof building. And it seems to me that there was more tin on it at the time, and I think it's just coming down like everything else out there. But I was out there. Look at that piece of wood crossing the channel there. We walked across that and got to the other side. But to finish my story, I walked out there, and it was 7 o'clock at night, pitch black, dark. There's no light out there. I mean, it's dark, and here I am walking out there with my camera gear. I'm gonna go do some light painting. It's 2 miles from town, and I'm walking out there. I don't know what goes through my mind, but this building, I was really drawn to it to do some light painting. It was just really cool with the way that it was sort of dilapidated, and there's that little plank crossing the canal there. Now these buildings, these are some bigger buildings. One at one point had a bathroom that I saw in there, and you know, that one in the back with the tin roof on it and the smokestack coming out of the top, the little, probably a wood burning stove or something like that. I'm not sure if that was some kind of utility shed or what, but there used to be like some wiring and stuff back there, but it's all gone now. Over the years, maybe it just falls away to decay. But you know, we'll kind of fly over this and let you take a look inside there. I don't know what it was, but you could still see like some sink basins and stuff in there. And this is far to the south of town, and there's that building with the smoke, you know, the chimney on it. I don't know what it was. It was some kind of utility shed or something, maintenance shed or something like that. Probably, that's my guess. And those two windows in the back on that structure, you know, there was a bathroom in there, and then you could look into the house. That skinny window was the bathroom, and then you could look into the building. But like I say, you know, everything's just falling apart out there. Who knows how much longer it'll be there, you know. But we're gonna kind of change camera angles here. It's really weird. Look at the design around the front of that building. It's really compact right there, and then grown up, it looks like some kind of, it's crop circles. Oh no. Let's take a look at one of these low-lying buildings. I'm just going to kind of skim the surface with my drone and fly over the top there. You can see all that old wood full of character and age. We'll zoom out across the grass here. View a few more of these structures from different angles. What a fun time this was. A great morning, and it started to get really hot out there, which is why, you know, I'm the kind of guy that would go out there really early, do my thing, and on the way home I see everybody else showing up. So that makes me happy that I'm out there when there's nobody else out there. Look at this. This is pretty neat. Something with had a bunch of rooms in it. It's all falling down now. We're just kind of flying over the top of it. Let you take a look at it. You can see that it's also sunk very low from what would be considered normal doorways. You know, I really think the time of year that I came out here too, it really helped to show some of the beauty of this area. That fall color, all those rusty greens and yellows, are just really pretty. It's a really pretty time of the year out here. Saw egrets. Saw some hawks off in the distance. Nothing right here, other than maybe some little finches or little small birds hanging around. But let's take a look over here and see what we pick up. Now this is a different angle coming in from those two buildings that we saw earlier. Those two little cabins. We're just coming in from the back side of those. Because we didn't catch that earlier. I had to watch these poles sticking out of the ground. Remember, I'm way over at the train track, so I don't really know how high those are off the ground. So nothing out here is really that high off the ground. But I had to be careful when I was flying there. See, look at these. There's those shacks again. They look really good from the one side, right? And then when you fly to the back side of them, you're like, there's no backside. But But look how that wood is kind of bowed down in there and sunken down. It's kind of just really cool. No vent in there, so if they was in there hunting ducks, they had to keep warm with a jacket. They weren't burning any campfires in there. Any didn't have no wood stove in that one. It never gets cold enough in this area that you need to worry about that anyway. Look at that. Man, that's really cool looking. A little canal, a little bit of water left in that canal. There'll be more in it later on. The tide was low and but what a new world it opens up. Cameras mounted on drones. Just, it's incredible. How you can explore everything. Yeah, that thing's not got long for for the earth. But duck hunters, there was pictures in the documentary of people swimming out there. You know, it was a bustling little railroad town, Union Pacific. Some of these towns, they dried up just as fast as they started up, you know. This one didn't seem to, it lasted a while. Especially for being where it was. Gosh, man, I mean. Now here, let's fly back north. We're going north at this point. We're just going to fly back, do a fly over the city, or the town, not the city. We're going to fly over the town from the south to the north to kind of give you a look. You can see those canals running up alongside the tracks there. And this town, unless you come out here, you make the trip to go out and see it, which I'm not telling you to do that, but you can only see it from the train. You can only see it from the train tracks if you're on the train, you know. And so I'm lucky that I'm able to come out here, and this, like I said, this will probably be my last trip out to it, so it's been my best one so far. Look at all that beautiful green. And there's plenty of mosquitoes out there too. Don't be fooled. Plenty of mosquitoes. We rode our bikes out this time. I've walked before, and it's like 2 miles each way. It's like, oh gosh, it's really a heck of a walk. Once I did it twice in one day. But it's really that exciting for me, you know, to get out there and sort of feel the vibe of this old little town. Sort of, you know, put my imagination in that flow, you know, and sit there and wonder about what things were like, and I just, that kind of thing, you know, does it for me. I enjoy exploring and wondering and seeing old things, and you could see a lot of fallen down old telephone pole wires and stuff. They just had the one thin little wire going across these poles, coming down into an insulator, into a box. You could see circuit breaker boxes on some of these structures too, and they're just, you know, they were just and then when the wire goes into the house, you could see it comes out of the box, it wraps around an insulator, and it goes wherever it needed to go. It's certainly it worked, but I guess it wasn't going to be, you know, something that would be OSHA approved today. Or I don't think you'd get a permit for that kind of construction these days. We're going to fly up over the top here and give you a kind of a really high bird's eye view of the tracks and that little creek right there on both sides of the track. Remember, that's east and west sides of the track there. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you watching. Take care, like and subscribe. On Patreon, consider becoming a member. I have lots of free images to download on my Patreon. Like and subscribe, share. Thanks for watching.